And hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Leftovers. So, I'm, of course, joined with my co host, Matt. And tonight, we have a treat Apocalyptic Kung Fu, brought to us by Joel. Joel of Lone Wolf Fists. It just sounds so cool. So, I want to welcome Joel and say hello, Joel.
Well, hello everyone. It's good to be on.
Great. I'm glad you did join us. And Matt, if there's some things you want to get into real quick, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Just want to go ahead and take a look again at what's coming up in the next few weeks. So again, tonight, right, we're talking, gosh, I can't even say, I can't talk, Acid and Steel. Next week, we'll be talking to the Big Campaign podcast. We're on the works trying to figure out what we're going to do on the 23rd of January, and then we're going to wrap up the month with Clash of Crits will be on to say hi. And basically that's it for announcements right now. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do. Just so listeners know, if you've been listening to our Dragonbane campaign, we just released episode, I think 23 or 2 this week. I can't remember.
23. We're still not halfway through the episodes yet, but 23.
Well, right. And but we just recorded last night, episode 48. And just so you know, we ended that episode, no spoiler, we ended that episode opening the door to the lair of the big bad guy. So in the next couple of weeks, we will be fighting the big last, either
Don't
winning,
say that.
losing.
One more night. That's all I want. One more night of fighting the bad.
Well, true. And you know what? If this was a lot of other systems, you know, maybe like D&D, I'd be like, well, this could be multi-systems. But Dragonbane's combat is so deadly. Yeah, the fight's probably going to be one more session, and then it's going to be whatever
happens.
We were joking last night after recording. We stayed with Malcolm. We're saying, well, either we'll do like a Return to the Shire kind of thing, right, where we talk about, oh, you guys, this is what happens. Or I said, if we all die, it'll just be a half an hour of you doing expose on how the big bad, conquers the world or something like that. So we'll see. But yeah, so we're really excited. It's been the longest game that we've recorded as a group. We're very polygamorous, so we normally anything above 10 or 15 episodes, we start getting that wanderlust.
We're heathens.
Yeah.
But so this
that's a good way to be, though. It's kind of rare in this day and age.
Joe, I've been divorced from games several times. I have so much alimony I'm paying to.
Well, you would not believe
systems.
the breakup that I had with Exalted, man. It was ugly.
They got the kids too, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's all I've got. I just wanted to say I'm just super, super excited that we're getting, and I was glad that I was able to come back in and hopefully finish the campaign with you guys.
So Matt, could you do me a favor? Could you go back to the last slide you put up? I just want to point something out.
Sure, I can go back to the last slide.
Just something I want to point out.
Okay.
Oh, the picture's not there. Where's the prior
one? Do you want
one?
the picture?
His picture, yeah, because that's a hell of a Photoshop. Look at that photo. Look at that look, man. That's like bang. Hey, what's up there, buddy? All right. That's
they call that smolder in the business.
The smolder and the hair. I'm just like, God damn. I'm always admiring of good hair. So that's all I wanted to say, Joel.
That was an exceptional good hair day, and I was like, I've got to immortalize this. It'll never happen again.
Yeah,
listen,
and you have,
Sean. Sean, you just admire hair.
Any hair? Yes, it's true. It's true. Oh, all right then. So here we are. So let's go. First, I want to put up some stuff here. So this is, where's my banners? There we go. First, we're going to put up, of course, anybody who's on, the AARPG.com cast, get some information, like, follow, subscribe. I'll say this for Matt, buy our stuff. And this is very lengthy. I'll leave it up for a minute. But this links to
that's the core book right there.
Yeah, the core book. But from there, you can get some more information. The art, we were just talking before we came on, beautiful artwork and it gives you a basic synopsis. It's really cool. It's got some really good ratings. So there we go. There, I've put that up. And now, Joel.
That's me, baby.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, like your sign, your social security number, your
I don't remember the social security number. I never memorized that. I've got it on a card somewhere that I laminated, which apparently you're not supposed to do.
Which is a funny story. I laminated my social security card, and as I was applying the back lamination to it and going across, the very top, as I moved my hand, the words "Do not laminate this card."
Oh no!
You have broken the law.
Yeah. So yeah.
The Social Security people are going to come get you and take away your benefits. So, Joel, tell me. So, just because something we ask everybody that comes on is, when did you start playing the games, the role playing games, and what age, and what was the first system you played with?
Oh man, it was really young. I was like 12 or 13, and I've been playing Warhammer for a little while. So I've been into
Warhammer, yeah.
Well, I started off doing the Choose Your Own Adventure books, and then I went from there to Magic the Gathering, which I started playing by accident, by the way. I just picked up a pack of cards, and I was like, what is going on with these? And then my mom and I investigated together and eventually realized it was a game underneath all of it and became hopelessly addicted to that. And this was back in like the 90s, whenever if I'd kept those cards, I'd be a millionaire right now. I didn't know. I think they're in a shoebox somewhere. They got given to someone. But I played that. I played Warhammer, and then around 12 or 13, I got involved with a group of guys who did a bunch of different role playing stuff. They also were polygamorous, and they let me play D20 Modern. I think D20 Modern was my very first game, but it was right around that same time I started playing Vampire the Masquerade and like the third edition of D&D, I want to say.
Oh my God, you went in deep. Vampire the Masquerade.
There was a lot of stuff going on. There was actually a LARP going on there. I was in Manhattan, Kansas at the time, the Little Apple, and they had a really good, solid LARP at the college. So I got to pretend to be a vampire every couple of weeks. So that was pretty righteous. I was really bad at it because I was 12 and like socially awkward, but I had a really good time. So I got introduced to a wide berth of, back in the day, back then, like you kind of got everything whenever you went to game. Like there was a lot of third edition, like that was like the big thing, and everything was kind of slowly becoming D20, right? But like you had a lot of unique systems. Like you had like Cyberpunk. I remember seeing Paranoia on the shelves back then. Like you would go into a gaming store and there'd be like this great wealth of different kinds of games. And I don't know, I don't see that as much anymore. Now it's a lot of fifth edition, but that's kind of how I got my start. And
you mentioned sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you mentioned D20. So I ran a D20 campaign for a really long time, and I appreciate their concept design where your character isn't really like a class at first. You can eventually have like those archetype classes.
Yeah. You get like the advanced classes, but yeah, you're like a strong or a tough guy.
Right.
It's interesting. Like I don't know how much like mythological cachet that has actually. But in some ways, it's actually quite brilliant. I think it's Everyday Heroes, the modern version of that, does something along those lines. And I think they probably do a better job with it. They're a little more explicitly about action movie archetypes, as I recall. And I think that's a more robust way of approaching it.
They kind of, so Everyday Heroes, right? Because I've got that. They and I would like to play that one day.
It looks good,
kind of
right?
Combined it at character creation. So in D20 Modern, you had to kind of wait and build up and do all those things so you could get to an archetype. Whereas you kind of Everyday Heroes jumps you right into that sort of role right away. But yeah, it was an interesting idea how to create characters based on how you solve problems.
Well,
like,
and it went
smart,
back to one of
were
the
you fast.
Yeah, and it goes into one of the underutilized aspects of old school D&D, which is like that 6-stat line. There's a lot of integrity in that. Like you can actually go really far. The kind of D&D I play nowadays is like that, like Tonisberg Blackmore edition, where it's just like basically just like a base attack throw, hit points, and then that stat line that's more or less everything. And like it's amazing how versatile that is, because like you can use a roll under system with any of those stats and get the same general results you get with the really complicated skill system that third edition used, right? So like going back to that and saying this has enough value that you can make archetypes out of these stats, that's an interesting angle. Like I don't think we've really done that before or since. So that was really cool.
No, that is cool. That is cool. I never used that system, so I've heard of it, heard it from Matt, but it sounds great. But I've used other stuff. I did play a Vampire the Masquerade.
Vampire's good, dude.
Yeah, I played. I tried to make it fun, and I got punished. They took some of my humanity away. It was terrible. But
Well,
but
that's Vampire for you.
that's Vampire. You can't have fun. It's got to be. You want to have fun, play Werewolf. That's what he.
Oh, dude, I love Werewolf. There's so much anarchic energy in that game. It's so good.
Is. It's set up that way. Yeah.
It is, and it's a cathartic id release after like the never ending like failure spiral, which is Vampire, to just be able to turn into a giant werewolf monster tank and just rip open a McDonald's or whatever. Like, you are a font of the worm. It's really good, right?
Yes.
They knew how to do it back in Werewolf, dude.
If it makes you feel better, the Magic kit cards. My son's scout troop, he went away and I could get some Magic cards. And oh yes, Magic. As my friend once said, when it was big, the addiction. And I had to buy him some cards to play. I'm thinking, Kirsten, my lovely wife, is like, will this turn into something? I go, this could lead to all sorts of Japanese anime. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, that was my entry, Doug, to anime too. So
he's watching anime now. So
there you go. Yeah, it's slippery slope, man. Next he'll be designing his own role playing games.
Yeah, next thing he'll be designing his own role playing games and carrying around katanas. Here we go.
Don't talk
Studies
about
the blade.
But anyway, so that sounds great. I just want to ask you now, of those systems, not if I say what's your favorite game, of course you're going to say the current one you have. But if you had a favorite gaming system from that age up, that you like playing that you would go back to in a second, or it could be a couple.
Oh, so many of them were so good. It probably would be Werewolf, honestly. I only got to run and play a couple of times, but man, Werewolf the Apocalypse is one of the most absolutely bonkers systems you could possibly run. I actually ran a year-long campaign of the sequel to that New World of Darkness did, the Werewolf the Forsaken, and even that one is it's bucket loads of D10s and it's gore everywhere, and you have effectively infinite health, and it's pretty amazing. So yeah, I would do that again.
Cool. It's one of the. I mean, at least for me, I have just as much fun reading the books as playing the game because it's so well written and the lore is so extensive. I think the only product that I kind of got lost on was Mage.
That's a pretty common experience with Mage.
Yeah. I like the idea.
What was the idea? Because the idea is this infinite recursive fractal, right? Where it's like, this is what mages are, but actually, that's just the veneer of what they believe themselves to be. What they truly are is much deeper than that. But that was just an illusion, and it just keeps going. Like, that's Mage, and then you find yourself in exactly, and then you find yourself on like a flying robot ship going to the moon, fighting like monkeys from the future, and it's just like, are we sure this is World of Darkness?
Yeah. So the person who normally just plays like a Brujah or something, Mage was a little bit over my, it's like, where can I bite something, right? So
just give me a blood bag,
Yeah, no, exactly. There you go.
No, it's funny. So it's each of us has our own favorite game system, and those that we love and we don't like. My son got, interestingly enough, Fallout, the game. For
the
RPG.
role-playing game.
So I was looking at that's my thing, right? So my wife's like, you should run this for him. I was like, he might run it himself, but I could because I know that, of course, it's easy. The history. And anybody listening, you can play a Mr. Handy and Mr. Gutsy and play everything pretty much. And I thought that was neat, but with systems,
robot cowboy, baby.
Yeah, pretty much. And with dice systems, like, what's a preferred dice system you like? Some people like to use, like, Shadowrun uses like the D6s or D10s.
Yeah, I think Shadowrun's D6s. Most games, most D20s are, of course, D20 games, but oh geez, I'm a big fan of dice pools. One of my favorite ones probably is the Marvel Heroic Role Playing one.
Yes,
which was a sequel game to Marvel Face Rip, which has a lot of design that I absolutely stole from my game, by the way. But Marvel Heroic Role Playing did this really cool thing where your dice you do use all different types of dice, and the capability that you had in something would determine how big of a die you got. So if you were stronger, you get a bigger die with more sides, which reminded me of Flatland, which was fun. But it also did something that I liked a lot, which was when you rolled the dice, you got to kind of spread them out and use them as a resource for a lot of stuff. And that was really cool. Like most games just give you a yes or no with the dice. Do you do the thing or not, even with a big die pool? But this one was like, you look at all the stuff you can do. And that lit up a light bulb in my brain whenever I encountered that. So I think that's my favorite overall dice. It's got its quirks, but that's one's fun just to roll the dice and do stuff with it.
Very cool.
Oh man. So you're playing games, you're doing this. And so when did you get plucked, I say, by divine inspiration, or, get cursed to decide to design your own game system?
Oh man. Well, I was playing with the idea for a while because I think that whenever you're polygamorous, like some little chunk of you, it's beautiful. That's a permanent part of my lexicon now. I love
I know. Well, will be ours too. So Matt just brought that up. Good.
It's beautiful. But yeah, like, okay, so when that's what you do, you don't really have a forever system, right? You kind of keep, like, I've had long campaigns, but I've never had a system where I'm like, this is the last one, boys, ever. So I kept kind of finding ones that were close to what I wanted. But I'm a huge like weeb, like I'm an otaku at heart, and so like I wanted like the crazy over the top anime stuff. And the closest I ever got, and it was this close, was the Exalted system. Coming from White Wolf, that was like the natural next step, right? White Wolf plus anime equals Exalted. And if you ever tried to run Exalted as a long campaign, about 5 sessions in, someone's going to get the big sword and your whole game is going to shatter. You're going to be like, oh God, okay, what am I doing with this? And like, so I ran year-long plus campaigns of this game. And every single game, something different, like fundamental to the system, utterly broke. And I had to kind of wing it around this for just months and months and months. And I got completely fed up. So I got to the point where I was like, I need to make my own game, right? I know what makes Exalted good, and I know where it breaks. So I'll just take the stuff I know works, and then I'll work with that. And I kind of played with it for a while, as you do. And then right about the time I was going back into college for my business degree, I was like, I need to think more. I need to think like as though this were something I could make money off of, right? So I went on some forums and I found David Ramirez, a guy that was largely responsible for the game Legends of the Wulin, which was a really innovative game. They did a Kickstarter before Kickstarters existed. They had really solid customer service. Like these poor people, they made their game prior to Kickstarter, right, which is hard to do. They made it happen, and then when they shipped from China, they lost an entire shipment of this stuff. It just gone. So they had to, out of their own pockets, do it again. And so like their game was like on really shaky financial ground. And it was an RPG Net darling for a little while, and then it just kind of faded into obscurity. But before its light totally flickered out, David went on to RPG Net and he was like, hey, does anyone want to help me do a simpler version of this game that I can do like a Legends of the Wulin Light? And I was like, I just put my hand up, and he was like, okay, let's try. And that design actually wound up becoming Lone Wolf Fist eventually. So that's
wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
cool. Pretty cool, man. So so tell us about Acid Steel, the setting, rule set, lore, etc. If you want to just try and lay that out. In a convenient, in a 4-hour format for our audience. So.
I could probably do it pretty quickly. So, I mean, you can tell right away that I'm an Exalted guy. And like, I like anime, and I like the core system is basically if Fist of the North Star and my favorite 90s animes were a game, this is just the first supplement to that. And the reason I did this supplement, it's introducing robot characters and demon characters, which are two of the coolest things you introduce to a game, right? Well, Exalted usually introduces those at the end of a product line. They'll do the alchemicals or the infernals, which are the coolest splats, right? And so you get like all of a few months to play with those guys, and then the new edition comes out, and it sucks. I hate waiting, A, and B, that's like my favorite part of Exalted. So I was like, well, I'll just do my robots and demons in the very first supplement. That way nobody has to wait. So yeah, that's the basic thing of it, is like, this is kind of my answer to like, the Infernal Exalted and the Alchemical Exalted is, okay, you get the Kung Fu, you get the superpowers. Now you can be a demon with Kung Fu and superpowers, or a robot with Kung Fu and superpowers. There you go.
So this is very cool. So I hate to ask this question because now I feel so Acid and Steel. So Acid and Steel is just additional. This is part of a larger.
Oh yeah,
so Lone Wolf Fist is the
core book.
That's it.
Okay. That's the guy.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, and this is the first supplement, it's going to be about the same thickness too, because I can't do small books. I don't know why. I meant for this to be like 90 pages of a fighting system, and it just became
yet
this.
To meet somebody who can make a small anything. Like, I'm going to make a simple game system, and 500 pages later, you're like, oh yeah, you know.
I could probably cut out a good 10-15% of this. Like, this is my first game I ever wrote. But even still, it would be a fat game, just because like it's just more than a fighting system, right? The fighting system is like 5 pages, but like then I've got I want to do these different kung fu. Oh, you know what I had to do? A really interesting skill system. Oh, you know what else I should do? I should do a huge bestiary and an armory, and then eventually you're like, oh, okay, I put 3 core books into 1 core book. Yeah, that's awesome.
And there it is. That's the cover, and that's what you see when you go to that.
And that's very cool art. That's
very cool. I love that art. I love it.
Well, it's based on almost all the art here is based on one of the Fists of the North Star pieces. There's a really good Fist of the North Star piece where Kinshiro was just punching his way through a bunch of like goons, and like I was just like, I gave that to a Kazakhstani artist, Pavel Kolomiets, and I'm like, hey, can you do this but with my headline character Nuke? And he turns that in. Yeah, and my eyeballs rolled out of my head, so I was really happy with that.
This literally looks like just walking through, punching people, heads exploding. You're like, wah! That I love. That was one of my funnest watching.
Yeah, if you have not watched this movie, it is a rite of passage. If you like anime and you like any type of martial arts film, this movie's over the top. It's great. So
I'll just give you the opening scene, folks. The bad guys got some people. And some buildings start falling, and there's a guy walking. And as the buildings fall, they crash, and he just keeps walking through them, and he's just wrapped in rags.
Oh, that is an amazing scene. The building's just like falling on him.
And he's just walking, like,
through it.
And the buildings are falling just because he's walking by him, because he's that badass.
My favorite part of that scene is right after he cuts a building in half by walking through it. Yep. One of the thugs is like, we can take this guy, and shoots him in the leg with a crossbow bolt. It's like, really, bro? You thought that was going to do it in? That was the move, huh?
He just mumbles like, "Yeah, stupid."
They have the gall to act surprised when their heads start exploding.
You're already dead. Right. What do you mean? Yeah, it's just like that is.
Yeah. By the way, anything in Fist of the North Star, or a bunch of other anime, but at least Fist of the North Star definitely has an analog in here. You can poke people and their heads explode.
Nice.
That makes it worth its weight in gold, folks. So the setting is a setting like, so it's sort of, is it like the Fist of the North Star setting?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's post-apocalyptic. There's ruins everywhere, and I added a bunch of monsters. There's a few monsterish things in Fist of the North Star, which are really fun to watch him punch until they explode. Like at one point, he fights this giant purple guy, and he makes his head explode. But like you can't ask for a richer mythology for freaky monsters than like East Asian stuff. So like, well, you can't. I mean, like look at like crack open anything like with Hindu mythology, and you're like, oh my god. Any Chinese mythology, same thing. Japanese mythology has like whole Bibles of monsters, basically. And so I was spoiled for monsters to put in the game. So I put a bunch of those guys too. It's such a deep well. I only was able to kind of skim off the top, really, because I think I've only got like 30 pages of a bestiary in here, but I crammed a lot of monsters in. I've got the Archobamalu, the Scorpion Man. That's actually got art. Look at that beastie.
Nice. Oh my goodness.
Kind of angle that a little. Yeah, there we
go.
That's Kazuki David, by the way, the Filipino artist. He does a really good job.
Jeez.
That's
impressive.
So of course, Fist of the North Star, are you also a fan of like martial arts films or
absolutely.
That's just wondering, like, is this sort of kind of a combination? Because you've got, I was definitely like, this is a great combo. I didn't even think of Fist of the North Star. I was like trying to think like, okay, post-apocalyptic.
So in our Discord, he puts up the Fistoverse as his Discord server, and I should have just picked up on that. I just like the Fistoverse. Wow, look at that. And
yes.
So now I get
we got a thing for Fist over in the Fistoverse.
Fistoverse. That can be taken many ways, but take it.
Well, lots of fisting going on over there. Wow! We're fist fans.
Right. Oh, Jesus Christ! It's one of our people that
who also has great hair.
Yeah, has great hair and who likes fists.
That's right.
I like this guy already.
Yeah, no, he's one of our fellow players. He's been very busy in a new job recently.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
So, but good to see it. Good to see it here. Anyway,
So
where
tell
was
us a
I?
little bit about
Yes,
the
thank you.
system, or like maybe the kind of characters you can play.
Oh, sure,
in
yeah.
this. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're familiar with White Wolf stuff, you've already kind of got an idea of like what I stole from, like the well I drew from. It's kind of the same way like you play. I would say Vampire the Masquerade, where you choose a clan and then they give you your powers. In this case, instead of it being a vampire clan, it's a kung fu clan, and their powers are like the different kind of training that you get. So you have like the radioactive scorpions who have like fire powers and gunslinging kung fu, and then you have the 5-star spirits, the guys who have like the wata, they make your head explode. They've also got airbending because they're the naturally extinct clan that only one person could ever play, which is going to be the guy at your table. You can be a Shadow Viper, who are the guys with trench coats and katanas, which I have a very soft spot for, who have like demon magic and all kinds of cool stuff like that. You've got the Emerald Kairen, who are kind of based on the Princess Mononoke characters, where like they're big on like preserving the green world, and like they've got like giant wolves they ride and such like. And I base their kung fu off of like ancient Aztec blood magic, because like of course you would.
Yeah, why not?
Right, no, exactly.
Throw some of that in there. Yeah.
Well, right, this is a real kitchen sink of a setting. If I thought it was cool, then it's in here. Like, what inspired this was like when I was but a lad. One of the big that was when anime was first coming over, and it was not like we'd already had Speed Racer before that, but this was like the super brutal 80s and 90s bloody head exploding anime, and there was a
Demon
bunch
City,
of it.
All that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. That I got exposed to at a way too young age, and it blew my mind. And it just felt like everything was in there, right? You had hot babes and robots and explosions and gore and monsters and demons and mutations. Like everything was an anime, and it was awesome.
And that's just like Akira, right? Like,
yeah, that's just that one movie.
Yeah.
Well, you can be the psychic guys from Akira too. I put those guys in here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. How could you resist? So yeah, like in that moment of my life when it felt like anime could do anything, that it encompassed everything I loved and more, like that's what inspired this setting. It's just there's everything in it, right?
Yeah.
But for all that, like, Six String Samurai is another good one. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Even to some extent, Buckaroo Banzai a little bit. Just
Oh.
because of how wacky that setting
yes.
is. Buckaroo Banzai is awesome.
Booty.
It's Big Booty.
John Booty.
I rewatched that recently, and I was like, I don't think people get this joke anymore. I think this has just become the way we consume media. Because like Buckaroo Banzai is brilliant because it's like the 17th part of this ongoing saga, and that's the only bit you actually get. And it's like, that's just how you'd encounter media back then, right? You didn't know you were watching like part 37 of 500. You're just like, oh, this is cool. I like this. And like a lot of the context was missing, but you could kind of get it. Like they kind of wrote every issue as the first issue, but like I don't know if people get that about it anymore. It's like my favorite aspect of Buckaroo, but one of my favorite aspects of Buckaroo Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai's a hoot, man. I like that.
Absolutely,
I love it. I can watch it right now. My mother, of all people, watched it, and she loved it, and she loved John Lithgow's character in that movie.
Was that the moment we realized that John Lithgow was a comedic genius? Because like, wasn't he did he start as a serious actor, and then like at one point they cast him in Third Rock from the Sun, and it was like, oh my.
Yeah, I remember him not being a comedic actor until that, because he's in a lot of like. He's like the bad guy from Cliffhanger. Like he's in a lot of.
No, he has a wide range of actors, but he was a drama actor before he did comedy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The Sun was like a completely different shift, and he was perfect for. I mean, he was great. I always forget about that show.
I have to say this: have you seen The Legend of Riccio, Joe?
I've heard about it. I don't think I've seen it though.
Oh, you need to see it. It's inspirational.
Riccio,
he can defeat death. It's a B Japanese kung fu movie, and it is. If you watch it, you will not be disappointed. Get some popcorn and a good nice drink, and you will love it. Tears showed it to me. I watched it, and it's just over the top. It's like
Well, it sounds like it's up my
The
alley.
protagonist goes to jail, gets, he's fighting the boss. It's all, it's people getting choked out by their own intestines. It's great. It's cool.
Damn, that sounds great. How did I miss this?
No, it's like one of these it's one of these like
Is it this? Is it this one?
Yes, The Legend of Riccio. That's it. The story of Riccio, but the one I saw had the correct. But the story of Riccio, that's like a cult thing. It's like one of those things. Unless you were around when it came out, it was great. A guy's head explodes. That's absolutely right.
I'm into it. Recommendation taken.
Yep, Darcy saw it.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Ow.
Oh, that looks incredible, dude.
Oh my god.
It is incredible. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. You will not be disappointed. You'll be laughing like this is awesome. Like, and it's like, the days like, when B movies, there was no CGI. So all the special effects showed like they were supposed to.
Yeah. Like,
So
what was it reminds me of like that visual reminds me of Big Trouble in Little China, which has like some of the coolest practical effects. Yeah, that one.
Another fucking amazing movie. Oh
what
god.
That guy's end game was. What if I get real big and then explode? Good job, guy.
This is my finishing move. It's also my last move. So.
Yeah, clearly.
So we're going to take a minute. So Matt, I'm
Yes.
giving Matt the opportunity to do what he needs to do.
Okay. Do what I need to do. All right.
Do what you need to do, because if you don't do
have
it,
much to do.
I'm going to tell you, Joel. Matt likes PowerPoint. As he says,
He
PowerPoint
does,
guy.
He does like PowerPoint.
Yeah, I
He
noticed
does like
that.
PowerPoint. Yes.
Intrigued me.
right.
I'm intrigued by PowerPoint guy.
Well, so normally this would be the part in the show where I shamelessly plug going to our website and going to our store and buying our merch. But today I'm going to also shamelessly plug.
Shit.
We do a lot of actual plays, and we've started doing this live show. But we don't want folks to forget that we have a huge library of shows called Between Two GMs, which were recorded with Nathan and myself. Sometimes there'll be a guest, where we have sat down with all kinds of great content creators over the last almost 3.5 years. And so if you head over to our website and go to something called Other Stuff, you can find this stuff that's buried in, it's kind of buried in our stream on our podcast. But if you go to this website, to our page for Other Stuff, one of them, we've got all of them. And this is a ton of different game systems out there. And it's just something that, with all the actual plays and stuff we do, don't want people to forget that that's there. And because I can't not do it, while you're there, head over to our store, take a look. We've got, if you've got a favorite character from Dragonbane, we've got merch with that. All original art from the same artist who
Jody Schaefer.
who brought us what amazing cartoons recently. Let's see, what was that called that Critical Role does? What's that cartoon? The
Critical
Role.
Role.
The Vox Machina, I think it is.
Yeah,
Right?
why am I
It's Vox
blanking on
Machina.
this? Right, Vox.
I'm just
Machina,
making Matt
right?
suffer. It's Fox Machina season 2.
I'm getting old, right? So, but it's all there. Or we've got our other stuff. We've got a great logo. I know that there's probably somebody, either yourself or somebody
we got coffee
who's
cups.
leveled up their age stat. So feel free to go over there and
Increase my
rack it
wisdom
up.
modifier at the expense of all of my other stats.
That's right. I wish that. So here's one thing I think I had found is not as true. I wish that was exactly true. I wish that as I've gotten older that my wisdom stat has gone up. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
My blood pressure stat went up. Does that count?
That's right. Yeah. How's that cholesterol dot? I mean, what's my dice pool on cholesterol going on? these
Oh,
days?
my waist stat has gone up. That's awesome.
True.
It
Man,
went from
it's on the
32
charts now.
It went from 32 to 40. Does that make me stronger? No, but it raises your cholesterol stat. Yes.
That's right. So
Consistently losing sand each year.
boy. All right.
All
So
right.
that's it. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
No
Shameless
problem. No
plug
problem.
empted. So
I'm
I
gonna
just
add this.
So I threw up this is the player character sheet.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah, I like
So
the
one thing I
sideways
just-
facing ones.
So I have to ask, this is the entire character sheet, basically, right?
Th-
Except for
there's-
maybe like a list of equipment or something like that. Or
Well, yeah,
this is your
there should
main
be-
stuff, right?
That's what you should be looking at every session. On the other side of that sheet, you're gonna have or an additional sheet probably, you're gonna have your actual kung fu moves. But this is the actual core of your character.
Okay.
So yeah, this is like your punches and kicks and your health and all that such. I wanted it to be as close to an actual play sheet as possible. This thing has gone through iterations, and people in the Fistiverse can tell you. But this is the one that actually works really well whenever you're running the game. You have a place for all of your stuff. You can actually track things actively, so you know how much magic kung fu go juice you have left, etc., etc.
I see that.
Very
You
nice.
got earth, air, water, and metal. Okay, so it's like wood and fire. Because you talked about all this stuff and like the type of characters you could play. That sort of covers sort of all that, it seems. So that's pretty cool. Got the focus, an archetype, a clan. Oh man, karma. Jesus, karma, pharma, karma, pharma. All right,
Karma?
I
What are you
actually
talking
stole karma
Chakra,
from
right? What's karma?
yeah.
Where's karma at?
it's
right here above
Oh,
the
I
A
see
in
it. I see it.
sample.
I see it. I see it. Karma. Yeah.
But he's got dharma too, which I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
or
Dharma
pharma.
being different than karma.
Oh, dark karma. That's what it is. So, that's cool. So, So did you? How'd you play test this? Did you just get some people together and
Pretty consistently, yeah. Well, I don't know. I have this amazing ability to be really likable. So I had my home group, and then I cycled through a couple of different groups that would try it out, just like different, because a different mix of gamers will give you different data. But I think gamers kind of come in like 4 or 5 archetypes. You know, you got like the rules lawyers and the power gamers and what have you. And like, not everyone's purely any of those things really, but we all kind of have our stat that's the highest. And I got into Discord really early into this process, and the people that were playtesting it with me gave me great feedback there too. I had different groups outside of me run it and give me feedback like, here's what I was doing when I was running it, which was really like, that was super helpful. Because like when you're writing an RPG, like you write it for you, you know, and so when you hand it to someone, their understanding of it and what you intended can diverge significantly. And so that's a really important thing to like get feedback on super early into the process, because it's like, okay, I need to rewrite this for clarity's sake. And even with all of that rewriting, I would still want to do one more pass at this, honestly. It's how it is. You're always inevitably one last errata cycle from perfection, right? It's just how it is. But that said, this is a highly playtested game as a result of that. It's not just from my home group. I actually got a huge amount of playtesting on it.
Nice.
So I was really happy with
cool.
that. I mean, it's a really good premise, right? Like people want to try this thing out.
No, it sounds like, you know, our friend Nathan says this like in jokingly. He's like, there's not enough time to play all the games you want to play.
That's not a joke, man.
It's not a joke, and it's because we get people like you on, and it's like, this is just sounds like fun. This is like you go in and just beat the shit out of things.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like, you know, you can make it more deep. Like there's a goal to fight the big bad or whatever it is, but you're gonna go. It's like, what do you want to play? I want to play a samurai whose sword, he uses the soft end of his sword. Soft end, yeah, it's a soft end. Makes their head explode. Okay, let's do it. You know, it's
totally
just you know,
well,
it's just.
Well, if playing the game isn't like, if the moment to moment playing isn't fun, you've kind of failed as a game designer, right? You know, a lot of games are kind of a chore to play, but like I hate that. Like I want to have fun now. I have no patience for it. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, I want to play the soft head explodey samurai now. Damn it! From character generation, gimme.
I mean, no, but we have some people like there's some darker games out there, like some of the apocalyptic games we're playing. The state, the electric state.
The electric
That's
state,
it.
yeah.
That one's like just like whoa, like, you know, it's going down a dark path, and it's sort of like a mysterious. And I thought we had them on, and it was like, then you hit this, it's like bubbly kill, you know, let's go.
Right. There's a difference between like, so I can respect some of those games, right?
I do
don't
respect a
know-
lot of those
Absolutely.
games.
but I don't know if it's like, hey guys, I've got a few hours free this week. Let's all go get depressed.
Let's get
Right?
utterly miserable. I don't know,
Right.
man. I've played some great misery porn games. So
Yeah. You could have a long-term good misery game, you know, like with like a long-term goal you got to grind to get. As long as you get to the goal. If you get to the end and it's like fucking sucks, you're like, I just wasted 6 months of my life.
Well,
I've been stressing over this character. And
my favorite campaign ended in catastrophic failure. So I don't know about that, because if the drama's there, you can still really
if the drama's there, that's true. I gotta say that if you build up and it goes down, and we've had some, I've had some epic endings.
Sean, you've had a lot of epic endings, just not the same time the campaign's over. Just your characters ended a lot.
I never had it until we started playing live. And the first game, it was the first game we played was Aliens. Yeah. And we played made up characters, but we dug into our characters. We just being veteran gamers, we added, and it's Marine, and I was in the Marine, so I jumped right into the role. And Matt was like, "It's scary how that comes back to you." He goes, "Yeah, it is, right? It's just like an old comfortable shoe." But a roll went bad, and my head disappeared. Oh, that was it. The game was over, and I was like the leader, sort of. So it's like, all right, you guys are on your own, and then another character fucking gets smoked. Like, since we started playing live games, I had a character just, recently almost get fucking smoked. I was rolling terrible.
Dead, man. People are going to die in The Walking Dead. It's another
Walking Dead. I was the baddest character in Walking Dead. We're not playing this. It was a riot cop, not, but I was smoking everybody. And then all of a sudden, guy threw a Molotov cocktail, and a few bad rolls later, I'm a crispy critter. If I'd survived, I was going to play the burned man from Fallout. Basically, I was going to become Joshua Graham, and I was going to walk around quoting scripture. But
I like the idea that you can kind of use this because you've probably got your own world and fiction.
Yeah,
right? There's like a setting and all that. But it sounds like this is flexible enough that you could. Oh, okay. So you could basically.
Yeah, it sounds like it though.
People like a particular anime thing, they could really incorporate that in very quickly.
Not only that, but specifically, if you wanted to do a Trigun game, if you wanted to do like a Vampire Hunter D game, if you wanted to do an
Cowboy
Akira
Bebop
game,
or something,
like Vampire all of that, like I'm naming those specific ones because those power sets are in here, start to finish. So are the monsters, the villains, etc. You could just do that anime. And I did it explicitly so you could do that at home if you really wanted to.
And that's pretty unique because nobody's ever developed a game based off of basically what we're talking about we used to watch. Like anime, like, Fist of the North Star, and this and this and this.
Bessem, but Bessem for me was like, those how to draw anime books that are just done by someone who's like a fan of anime but isn't a mangaka. Like, that's what it was like. It was like, okay, you like anime, but you don't make anime. You don't get it. So Bessem for me was like a trend chasey thing, and it didn't feel right system wise. This had to feel right in play when I was doing it, or else I just would have considered it a failure, and I never would have released it. But it really feels right when you're running it. So like the fact that I succeeded at that goal makes me I can die satisfied. I'm so happy.
So I was going to bring up here, this is your sample from the GM
screen. Yeah, the GM screen.
And I just, there's a lot of stuff in here. It's got quick, I like that it's got quick references to a lot of those different rules.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to ask, because I haven't had a chance to, so mass battles.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly there's individual battles, but I'm going to assume then that there is, like, you've got squads, platoons.
Yes. Well, not only that, I've got different kinds. In the bestiary, there's different kinds of armies you can fight up against. So yeah, at one point, you or your opponent can roll up with an entire army, and you can fist fight it. You can fist fight a tank.
I'm just thinking that right now.
So
like Fist of the North Star, you walk up and fight an army.
Yeah, you can fight the Ratman legions or the Burning legions. You can fight the underclass revolutionaries, the 10,000 radical tribes, the Beast Devil legions, the Shang-Chi legions. Like, look at all that. There's a lot. And
that's
just
good
like
stuff.
So is the idea it's mass on mass, or is it literally you fighting?
It's literally you fighting an entire army with your fiery death fist. And you have a pretty even chance of winning. I would say beginning characters should not fight a whole army by themselves. Bring your friends. It's a team sport.
Oh, so this is cool. So this is almost like I'll just try to port like a D&D or something like that. People might be like a swarm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And D&D has mass combat rules. So like you can do mass combat in D&D as well. But by the way,
as an individual or as
as a matter of fact, the Domains at War system, the Adventure Conquer King system, has a really good individual versus groups. And what they do is they take the whole army, and you as an individual hero can peel off like selected chunks, and you basically fight them as large groups with your small group of player characters. And what that does is it influences the stats of that larger conflict. It's really this cool segmented system. And I was deeply inspired by Axe when I was running those rules and the domain rules, which are also equally insane, where, you can do Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome stuff with it. Oh gosh, sorry. Too much coffee.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No, that's exciting. That's a good thing you picked up on that, because it's so much funny. Yeah, because it makes sense, because you are the hero. You're supposed to be, going
and like characters in this are super over the top. Like again, fist fighting a tank is on the table. So
I would have never guessed by the way you described it that it would be so over the top. Really,
the fiery fists on the cover just were not a clue. Actually, I've got a really good picture that Kazuki drew me of good old Nuke lifting up a tank. Yeah, nice. Baby.
Oh
it's
my
on the
God.
Strength chart. Isn't that great?
I'm gonna hit this tank and it's gonna explode. Oh, that's awesome.
Actually, I had to rewrite the head explodey rules so they would work on tanks, because I was rewatching Fist of the North Star while I was writing these rules, and sure enough, Kenshiro does his wata on a tank and he walks away and it blows up, and I'm like, well, great.
You're right. I remember that.
It happens.
What? And you're like, the guys in the tank are like, what just happened? Boom, and they're just freaking gone.
Yeah, so I had to find a way to justify that in the rules, so that was fun. But I did. It's in there.
I'm glad you took the effort and you took the energy and time. I know it probably cost years of your life to make that happen, but we appreciate it. We really do.
Got a lot more gray hair now.
Yeah, I know. At least you have hair, dick. Anyway, running theme. Anyway, so you have this setup. Are you interested in expanding on in a different direction or on this system? I don't know if you can, actually. It sounds like you got to go get in there. You think you want to add some sort of,
how much you could add to it? Yeah,
you could add little mini adventures, like fighting the Dark Lord of the Rattan Kingdom or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the intro adventure gives you a bunch of stuff. It's like a whole adventure and it's free. I'd love to do more stuff like that. You could write tons of adventures for this. You could write tons of different kinds of kung fu. Basically, all you really need is the inspiration of another cool anime you haven't seen before, and then you just write something based off that.
So what you're saying is you want somebody to develop your idea into a cartoon where you get fabulously rich from. Yes. Okay.
No, I just don't want to watch more anime.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a man of small but significant dreams.
Small but significant dreams. That's awesome. It's good to have small dreams, but they should be significant.
So I'm going to channel Nathan, our
oh God, here we go.
He's all about consequences, right? So he likes games that have consequences. He likes people to have the freedom to try really ridiculous things, but he's always like, well, but you might fail, and if you do, when I was scrolling through, one of them was funny. It triggered me. With Nathan, it was this. You've got here this how you failed chart, and I love the how you fail, and it's got all these different sort of. Is this if you? When would a player roll on this chart?
So this is a character generation chart of some of the character archetypes that are introduced in Acid and Steel. One of them is the damned hero, and these are guys that they failed at becoming a kung fu hero, so they sold their soul to an ashura, and they got this titan, ancient forbidden power as a result. So if you're having trouble figuring out exactly what your backstory is, you can just roll a d10 and we'll hand deliver you one. Look at all these great ways to fail. You could be vainglorious or cursed by a cruel fate or a coward, or maybe you're crazy. Maybe you were abandoned because your teacher saw something hideous in you and now you get to have revenge. And the best part about it is they come with little bits that'll let you have fun later in the game. If you have a master that abandoned you, they're still out there somewhere as an NPC, and you got to deal with them at one point. So it kind of implies that there's this arc to your character. And I love that. I love just giving players and GMs the tools to kind of make all their own kung fu drama. So I'm going to flesh that chart out more, by the way. That's just the initial writing. It's going to get chubbier.
Nice. Very cool. That's No, I thought that was for failure for roles, but no, I get this totally. It's tied to the Damned Heroes, which I think is an interesting, because there's always people who want to. That's a very enticing in storytelling, right? It's very easy to be like my friend. A couple of my friends make fun of me because my favorite superhero is Superman, and they're all like, "That's boring."
Superman's
He's
great,
boring.
dude.
I love Superman, but many of my friends, especially James, they'll give me a hard time, like, "Oh, he's such a boring hero," and I understand that. Like other flawed characters, and I think they've done better in more modern interpretations of Superman to introduce flaws, right?
I
Not
think
so much the 1950s Superman who was always like, "Oh, I'm here,"
I mean, like, there's something to be said about the archetypical nature of Superman that makes him appealing. The All-Star Superman's a good version of him that I think is a modern archetypical take on him that I really, really enjoyed. It's like perfect Silver Age Superman comics, right? I defend Superman, but that being said, I grew up in the dark ages of comics, so for me, it's all like Spawn and like Max and stuff like that. Where I'm like, yeah, more tortured heroes, more anti-heroes,
angst 90s, yes,
yeah. I love that angsty stuff. Like, that speaks to my 90s kid soul. So
I mean, vampire is an entire right. You couldn't have. Well, very cool. Awesome. So what's the status? So I guess I didn't. So you've got the larger world, right?
Yeah, the world of ashes and ghosts is what it's called. It's basically a big post-apocalypse kung fu hellscape.
Gotcha. And then this is the most recent. So what's next?
What's next? Well, right now we're doing Acid and Steel. We just wrapped up the Kickstarter for that, which late pledges are still open if you want to get yourself a copy. And it'll go on sale as soon as I get it done. And that's opening up Naraka, which is their version of hell, which is its own giant, like, surreal 1970s acid trip hell combined with, like, Indian and Chinese mythological hell. So it's a very, very rich, weird hell with lots of cool stuff there. And then I also introduce Babel Kiminar, which is this floating, like, robot moon, which is also this internal city world of, like, post-apocalypse commie punks and their robot heroes. Gotta have space communists. That's just a prerequisite.
Space communists. We've had space Nazis. Why not space communists?
Right.
See, you gotta represent both sides.
Yeah, you gotta put it up there.
Gotta balance the karma. So yeah, that's where I got here. After this, I've been tempted to do like this. This is a game where the upward limits of power are things like being able to, like, shoot, like, chi blasts that can, like, annihilate whole cities like an atomic warhead, and that's like the upward limit of this power. And I really feel like that's way too limiting. I really need to be able to punch a planet in half. So the next one, I want to go full Ashura's Wrath and do the what I'm calling the All Above Heaven supplement, where, like, you're in outer space and you're, like, throwing moons at each other and stuff like that. So we'll see if I can pull it off.
Now you're getting into, like, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
Well, it's 100% Dragon Ball Z, even goofier if possible.
He's level 10,000. This one's 30. Oh no. Yeah, it's just
yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. That's
you're gonna have to have those couple seasons when it took you the whole episode to power up. It's like, they're gonna fight next to it. They've been powering up the whole time.
I'm considering a system where you can only use certain moves every century. So again, I want it to be just so much goofier than Dragon Ball Z. So I've been working on how do you fist fight an entire planet, and I've made significant progress there. We're at the cutting edge of fist design.
Can you imagine, like, you have that one attack that you can only use it for this century, and so you're sitting there, like, trying to figure out when to use it. Like, is this the one I just with this guy? Should I use this attack or should I?
Is it when I get cut off in traffic or when it's like when do
I've been fist fighting this dude for 30 solid years. I might want to wrap this up.
That's right.
This guy keeps showing up on my birthday and ruining my cake. Maybe I should kill him. Just
you like cake, and I hate this asshole.
But I might need this attack to save the universe. But this guy keeps stepping in my cake. What do I do?
It's like having the bazooka in your inventory where you're like, "Ooh, I only got one bazooka shot. Is this the boss I use it on?" Oh, and then you're sitting there and the end credits roll and you're like, "Not yet."
Yeah. Now, as Matt will tell you, I use everything immediately. So it's like, I once fired, like, had a character with 6 missiles. He goes, so I fired 6 at this villain and vaporized him. He goes, "Why'd you file 6? God, I don't have 7. And everybody just started laughing because it was so true. Because I was like, dude, I use everything. I use it because, why waste it?
Buffalo style. I love it.
Yes. Add it all.
So you mentioned some playthroughs. So I think one of the things that you sent me was a link to a video on YouTube with a playthrough.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
it is. Yes,
I remember this
there too.
Yeah,
I got a little bit of that.
Cloister of the Dice. This was great. This was Mildra and his crew. The guy, the Mad Monk Mildra. He has his own show, and the Let's Play he does is Cloister of the Dice. I had a blast. I actually got to run this time.
Oh, cool.
And Mildra got to be that guy right in the middle of their desert stage, and we had all these characters represented. So we had Nuke, we had Spiteful Prince there.
Sword.
Isn't that great? Like, you gotta have the goofy over the top huge swords.
With a nuke going off in the back, and
yeah, it's beautiful. Again, that's inspired by a piece of Fist of the North Star right there.
Oh yeah,
very famous one. So,
very cool.
yeah,
so,
I get to get them.
This has got so folks can go and listen and watch you guys play, right, and get kind of an idea of. So this is great.
Yeah, it's like a 4-hour thing. We screw around a lot, but there's a lot of really good stuff there. That was a lot of fun, man. And that adventure is free. It's got the whole intro rules. So like if you want to play right away, you don't want to pay even a dime for it, go to AARPG, get Blood from God's Eye. You can run this at your own table. And it's a whole adventure. Like it's got mini bosses, it's got a boss, it's got several different places to adventure through, the equivalent of like 3 or 4 dungeons. So like there's all kinds of cool stuff. Pre-made characters, you can just hand them to your players and run. It's very player friendly. So
this is my friend Tier who knows all this. Tenjin Topa, he can't even say this shit.
Gurren Lagann?
Yes, thank you. And
I never finished Gurren Lagann. I only watched like the first half of it. I need to finish it. It's really, really good. So
I didn't know that Tier watched anime that wasn't
stop. Okay, thank you.
So no, this sounds really cool. Like I said, I grew up watching I think it was every Saturday morning, my friends would go over to my friend's house and we would watch Kung Fu Action Theater, all the old movies.
Yeah, baby.
And every time it would cut to commercial, we'd all be riveted. And the minute it would go to a commercial, there'd be like a moment of silence in the room. There's like 8 of us all watching this, and everyone would look at each other, and it was on. Like everyone was trying to do this.
Yeah, exactly. You try to do the super move.
And
this is the Wu-Tang finger jerk.
So that, and then anime, and so I'm just when this we got reached out and talked about this concept, I was like super excited because it was just rolling back all of these
that's exactly what I want you to do though. Like it's not like the perfect energy to bring into TTRPGs, and it's so weirdly rare. Nobody does it. Like,
very cool.
Well, it's really disappointing because like Exalted used to I thought that's what Exalted was doing, and then they did the 3rd edition. And it just became this really boring, awful thing. So like someone had to pick up that mantle, and I guess I'm as good as a job as anybody.
Well, if that photo and that hair, you are the
That's right.
mast of the ship of Kung Fu Madness.
I'm happy with that moniker.
I think I like the. I like this.
Look, hey, this guy's not going to give you. He's not going to give you a raw deal, right?
He's not going to give you a raw deal. He might give it to you raw, but not give you a raw deal.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, Sean. There we go.
That fits the book, though. That fits the book. Sorry, I set myself up for that one. No, this is amazing. I just think I like it. I like it a lot. And as Darcy says, best Saturday cartoons into Kung Fu theater with the creature feature chaser.
Oh,
which you could probably, which he does has creatures in this game. Mm-hmm. So, no, that's cool, man. I really appreciate you sharing this with us because this is enjoyable. I think we should play it. I honestly think we should do this live. Totally. We should do this live. We just got to get Nathan on board. But anyway, but so we're coming closing of the hour, Joel, and I would give you the opportunity. Yeah, man, it flies.
It does. Wow.
You're a good guest, and you've been a very good guest, and it's been very fun, and you're a lot of detail. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
In closing, my game isn't a shelf game. If you get it, I want you to run it. I want you to play it. I made it for you to have fun with. So please do. And when you do, talk about it. Come to the Fistiverse and tell us about it. Tell your friends. Like, Do it, man. Go play.
The Fistoverse. I just say,
Come to the
You're going to be laughing about that all night, Sean.
I am. I love it. I love it. And I'm angry. I'm angry. I didn't come up with it myself and put it in our Discord. So, that's awesome. So, all right, Matt, you have anything?
Nope. As usual, everybody just have fun, be nice to each other, and play games.
All right, Darcy, thank you for joining us as always, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And Joel, thank you, Matt, and everybody. I hope you're all having a good year, and peace, love, and bubblegum, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.